Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Part-Time Artist Podcast, where we learn to be better artists. This is episode 207, and it is an awesome episode with one of my favorite bands, especially one of my favorite bands in Philadelphia, but just one of my favorite bands. It's definitely one of the favorite bands of this household, which is me and my dad. We definitely have ourselves a poster of this band on the wall. We have records from this band. So this is a really awesome show that we're going to get into. But before we get into the show, I want to remind you of a couple things that are in the episode description. There is a link for Cart Music, which is a great resource for recording in Philadelphia, whether it's you want to record a single or you want to record a live studio session with video. I would go with Cart Music. I've done it before and I love it, which is why I fully endorse Cart Music. I also endorse Do It Now shirts. Last episode before the radio show, we talked to Matt Charles, who is the owner and founder of Do It Now, and yeah, it's just an awesome way to get yourself some band merch, whether it's cassette tapes or t-shirts. Matt's got you covered. Fully endorse Matt. And also, there's a link for Visible if you want a new cell phone plan. Get hooked up with Visible. It's $20 a month. And that's it. There's no catch. It's $20 a month. You got unlimited data and all that stuff, and there's even a global pass where you pay $10 a month and you can, $10 a day, I think, and you can get data overseas in whatever country you're in. So that's what I use, Visible. Really cheap phone plan, and you don't need to get a hard SIM card or any of that stuff. It's an eSIM card. You just download the app, boom. You got a new phone plan. There's also a link in there for Sauna Box. I love taking saunas. Now that the winter's here, I'm definitely down in the basement getting the sauna in order to clear out your breathing pathways. It's definitely helped clear out my breathing as well as stress. And if you need a good night's sleep, dude, you will sleep so hard after you're in that sauna for like 30 minutes, man. Whew, you are going to sleep incredibly hard. So I fully endorse the Sauna Box as well. Now, our guest today is really awesome. I want you to keep an eye on their Instagram because they have some really cool stuff coming up, and definitely check out their music videos. We talk a lot about it on the show, but I definitely want you to check out their music videos, okay? Promise me you'll do it. It's worth checking out. It's some really cool stuff. And without further ado, let's jump into the show. All right, I have with me two very, very special guests from right here in the great city of Philadelphia. I have Sean and George of Waxjaw, the two big axes, aka the flaming hot guitars that come from Waxjaw. Thank you guys for coming on the show.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah, right on. Instead of flaming hot Cheetos, we have flaming hot guitars. Now we're kind of in the dog days of January. January can be a weird month because there's like this party and then everyone's like, oh my God, New Year. And then there's all this excitement. And then towards the middle of January, it's like, oh my God, nothing really changed. Like we're kind of in the same place. So it can start to get like a little weird. So before we start like getting into Waxjaw and all things Waxjaw, I want to know from you guys, in 2025, was there a big lesson that you learned, or maybe something that shifted your perspective?
Like personally or with the band?
Either or, just anything that maybe can give us like some insight, something that maybe we can learn from as well. Anything that can jump out, just something that maybe have happened and you're just like, wow, that kind of changed the trajectory of last year. Maybe something big that you learned, something big that I learned. I learned this word called intersectionality. That was a word that came up for me, and it had to do with, and it was kind of something that we talk about, but I didn't know like the exact name for it. And it's the intersectionality of issues is how all issues relating to oppression are sort of connected with one another. Like struggles with the LGBT community, struggles with black and brown groups, police brutality, Palestine, women's rights, reproductive rights, how all of these struggles are connected. And that was a big word for me to learn and then to start to read about and to dive into. And it really shifted me personally, but also with music, because I feel like the struggles for artists are also connected with that, because we're so often told that music has no value and nobody listens to albums and streaming services are like ripping us off and all these types of things. So I just feel like that was a big thing for me in 2025 to learn about that. Was there any kind of moment or something like that happened for you guys?
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome that was like your big learning experience from this past year. I think that's always great, growing in like our understanding of the world. And that's hard to top though. Intersectionality is a pretty big.
I also joined a book club. It was a big change for me.
I remember my 2025 resolution was, I feel like I'm someone who has pretty chronic FOMO, fear of missing out.
Okay.
And sometimes that leads me to say yes to literally everything and try to do too much. So my 2025 goal was to do a little less. So
yeah, say no.
Yeah, say no to stuff.
Wow, that's a good one.
Yeah, it was nice. I feel like I was a little more relaxed this year, a little more time to just chill, and then stuff related to the band as well. Like on tour, I felt definitely a little like I didn't get as burnt out because I wasn't afraid to just, stay home and nap if we're in a new city or something, stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Naps are good.
Yeah. I'll say mine was almost like the opposite of Sean's.
Good, where, interesting.
I have this like constant death fixation that I'm like, oh damn, I'm gonna die one day, and then like that's that. And not in like a morbid way, but like, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
So every time like, not doing something, and that doesn't have to be like something incredibly active. It could be like reading or listening to music that I'm meant to, instead of just like scrolling my phone or like watching mindless like TV, which I can fall into like that hole pretty easily, or like YouTube video after YouTube video. Just trying to be like more productive in a sense, or just do things that feel more meaningful or feel like good rather than just like fill time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like really intentional. Hard.
Yeah, and that's not always possible. Like sometimes like it feels intentional to like recharge and just like veg and watch some TV or something, and like that's good. Like do it when it's good, and like do something more active when it's not. Like go for a walk around my block. I live in a pretty area. Within the bands, I think we did so much in the past year that I got really caught up in like thinking about the next thing all the time, and always try to like you never know what could happen. So just like this is really cool that we get to experience this and try to think about like being in the moment. And I'm like, sure, like playing shows, like sometimes you're so focused on like getting set up and make sure people like saying what's up to people, having a good time, make sure the merch is taken care of, and just being like, no, like I'm playing this show for a room in a place I've never been before. Like that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And just like keep like that mentality of like, this is really cool that I get to do this.
Yeah, I think self-care and regulation and being present and stuff, it's like a constant practice, right? It's never like, oh, I've mastered the art of being present, right? Because that's what monks do on the hill. Like when you just want to be present all the time. and yeah, when you're doing tours and things like that and releasing albums, it feels like there's you're checking things off the list and more things keep getting added, you know, and you're like, oh, I got to check on this and that and the third. And yeah, it's super. I feel like a lot of people now are starting to have that realization with like being more intentional with their time, especially with how much of it seems to fade away with the phone and to-do lists and things of that nature. And with that being said, I also wanted to know, because you guys had such a awesome 2025, and I was like, I keep like a little journal about like things, you know, shows that I've played or shows that I've went to or moments or things like that, and I keep like tabs on it because otherwise I just completely forget. Especially now that there's no like ticket stubs anymore, which is a whole nother conversation. But one of the actually my biggest highlight, and I'm not saying this to patronize you guys or anything like that. My biggest highlight from 2025 was seeing you guys with the Bad Nerves. That was one of, I have to say, it might even be like a top 5 show that I've ever been to, ever. Okay, and I saw AC/DC this year, okay, in Sweden, okay? Waxjaw and Bad Nerves are number 1 for me. Now, I gotta know from you guys, what is the highlight from 2025? Because we talked about the tour a little bit. Was there a highlight on the tour? Was it the Bad Nerves show? Was it releasing the album or the videos? What was your personal highlight from 2025?
That was a great night, and
That's
like
one
also
of our best shows ever
for sure. And like shout out to the Bad Nerves guy. That's our second time we played with them, and like they're so cool as people. They're extremely nice, and like they really are like a good hang as well.
Yeah, they're really great.
You know, they don't like you know, sometimes bands are exhausted from touring, which is understandable, and sometimes are too like some don't like want to meet the local band that much or local opener, but they've always been really, really cool. So that was a great night. That's really kind that you said that.
How does the second show, because the first show was in Ben Salem that you did, right? At the Goblet?
Yeah, that was strange.
Okay, how do those two shows compare?
Well, the second one was way better.
Second was way better. We also had Spiritual Cramp on the second one.
Yeah.
So
the first one had wine lips too,
which we love the wine.
Both great bills. I think the second one was just that underground art. So it's in the city.
Yeah.
More people were there. The sound there is really fantastic. Yeah. I think we were tighter and like better.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
Just way more fun of a show.
We had like more, I think we had more songs written that were like catering to the Bad Nerves audience at that point too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was like it was on a Friday or Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Versus like the other one was on a Sunday.
It ripped. It was awesome. Definitely one of the best shows of the year.
We had a great night.
Yeah.
Great night.
So
What's your 2025 highlight?
Bands, I think in terms of I like again we did a lot.
You did so much. You did the Yuki Club. That was packed out for the release show.
That was easily a highlight as well. I'll say. So, playing the church this year with Frankie and the Witch Fingers. That was elite. That felt like a great set too, and like just such a like a notch in our belt to be able to say like, yeah, we played the church, and it was like packed, and I don't know. I was just like, I didn't know what going into that show what it would be like, and it was like so good. Like I felt incredible coming off of that.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
You guys are also like quietly but not quietly collecting like the infinity stones of like the greatest underground venues. You got Union Transfer, you got the church, you got the Yuki Club, you got Underground Arts. Like Jesus Christ, dude. You guys are going to be at the Fillmore tomorrow, I feel like.
We want to play them all.
Dude, yeah, we're next one, who knows what's next.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're the hardest hitting band in Philadelphia, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, you say know your highlight.
I think mine would be the Wine Lips tour.
Yeah, that was
We played Pittsburgh and DC with Wine Lips. Is that it? Just those
Yes.
two? Yeah, we just played 2 shows with them, and being like on the road just for a couple days with them was so sick. They're some of the best people in the biz, without a doubt. They're just so nice, so welcoming.
Yeah.
And then also, you know, we like those are 2 of our probably best cities to play. So like
For sure.
like playing Pittsburgh was really sick, and then
They were like Tuesday and Wednesday shows too.
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, like
sold out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah, and like that was cool to go out on the road and support them for a little bit because Wine Lips are part of the reason we got so much momentum. Like when we started.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great highlight.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also like actually putting out the record and like hearing it for the first time was pretty emotional.
Yeah. It was so cool to be able to hear, like, at the Underground Arts. I felt like you guys were throwing some of the new songs out there. I was like, oh, okay, we're hearing some new stuff. And then to hear it at the Yuki Club, and then now to hear it here, I actually don't have the record in here because my dad's listening to it downstairs, but we have It Takes Guts by Waxjaw. What an awesome album that we have here. And the album, I think it's like, what is it, Sky Blue or something? Really rad on, was it Born Losers Records?
Yeah.
Born Losers Records, and really rad music videos too. I'm gonna make sure that in the description we have links to the music videos as well as the Bandcamp to buy the tunes. Before we jump into these tunes, I want to also acknowledge that it's about 1 year since we released the Night Sweats single.
Wow. Oh, yeah, it's crazy. That was only a year ago.
And does it feel like yesterday, or does it feel like it was a million years ago? How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels like a decade ago.
Like when I heard about that coming out the same year as the record, like it doesn't make sense because it feels like two different things.
Yeah.
Though that song was like sitting around for a long time before.
Yeah, we wrote that a good while ago.
Yeah, like we wrote that in 2023. Actually, did you write that with Ben?
No,
that's Electric Rain. You wrote with Ben the first time he practiced.
Yeah, I think Ian knew Night Sweats. So definitely a good while ago.
So I have to ask this question. This is just for me selfishly. Night Sweats is a very quick song, and it has this ending where I feel like, oh man, we've built to somewhere, and then the song just is like, nope, we're not doing it. And I was just like, I wonder why y'all didn't decide to like keep that riff going at the end there. Did you just want to leave us wanting more? Because this style comes back on the record with Electric Green, where you guys come into this ending. You know what I'm talking about? Where you're like, okay, we could keep on this for another while, but then you're like, nah, never mind. We're going to a new song. What is up with that?
I don't know. I think
these are your riffs, man.
Well, at Night Sweats, I remember Greg saying he was like, yo, I want to just write like a bullet of a song that's like starts fast, ends fast, and it's only like it's less than 2 minutes. And I liked that idea a lot, so I think that's why I came up with the Night Sweats riff originally, but then everyone added their own parts to it and became like everyone's song really quickly. But yeah, I think the goal with it was just to like be fast, really quick, like just like have I think, we write a lot to cater towards our live performance. And I think at the time we were like, yo, we need something in our belt that like isn't drawn out, in our tool belt that like isn't drawn out. And like, if we need to get the audience going, we just play it. And then it's like
people to
move on.
Yeah,
it gets people to move quickly. And then we're ready to move on to whatever's next.
Yeah.
And Electric Green, even more than that one, stops. Like that one could really keep going.
It's really could.
It's like a minute and 10 seconds long.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why we do that. I think we just like, part of it's wanting people to want more, but part of it's just like, it's catchy, it's quick, no need to keep drawing it out, I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's cool that you guys also write in that with that intention, like, all right, we want a song to have this kind of live moment, and then you can execute the live moment. And I don't know how many other bands write like that. I think that's a really cool and unique thing. And with that, let's just jump into a tune here. This first tune has a really awesome music video. You got to check this out. This tune is called Lace Up. Check it out. All right, that tune was called Lace Up, and it is the 5th track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, is it the last track on side A? Might be.
It is.
It's the 5th track, the conclusion of side A of It Takes Guts. Would you call this your debut record?
I would, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you call it?
Everything else we put out, we only had an EP before that.
Yeah, so this is the Wax Jaw record, guys. And it's about, 3 months old? 2 months old? 3 months old.
About 3 months, yeah.
That's crazy.
I know. Yeah, it literally 3 months on Saturday. Yeah.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about these music videos. First of all, shout out to Born Losers Records. That's the YouTube channel that all these videos are on. There's some illusions here that I picked up on, and maybe I'm reaching a little bit. But for this this song in particular, this music video for Lace Up, is this giving a nod to the Strokes in the Someday video? Where they're partying in the bar and Slash makes a cameo or whatever. You guys have DJ Robert Drake in here, Philly Icon.
Wow, wait, you're the only person who's recognized that.
Yeah.
We did not intend that. He just happened to be working.
Dude, we didn't even know him. He just came up and he was like, "Hey, I'm Rob Drake." We're like, "Oh shit, we know your show."
Yeah. I know the way he looks because fun fact, I used to work at the American Swedish Historical Museum in FDR Park, and DJ Rob Drake he DJ'd for the Swedish Museum because I think he's Swedish, and he would DJ some of the Swedish events, especially ABBA Night, I believe. The ABBA Drag Night. So shout out to him. He's an awesome dude.
Yeah, he was sick.
And then we also but that like vibe of like retro being in the bar and hanging out, was that an homage to the Strokes at all, or no?
It actually wasn't. I don't
No, it was very simple. Sean and Shane cooked on this.
No, dude, it was just Shane.
Shane cooked on this idea.
Basically, so we were finishing up the record, and
this was the first single.
Yeah, this was the first single, so we needed a video while we were still recording. And basically, all of us were extremely busy recording. Yeah. And not to knock vocals, but I think they take a little bit lower of capacity, a little less time. So we were like, "Yo, Shane, you're a little less busy than us right now. We're gonna need you to think of this video and completely come up with a concept and just cook." Like, so that was all Shane.
Wow.
And then when Shane had the idea, it was like the horniest thing I've ever seen. And yeah, so that's what came out.
Yep.
So that was all Shane. Yeah. Shane
he just went
lead singer. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if there was any homages in there. I don't think there were any to Strokes specifically. I think there was a lot of like wrestling inspo.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We had these like Shane found, it was their grandma's. Like these like Chippendales like playing cards, and from like the 80s or something. And we when we were recording the record, we had them like all around, like in our pedal boards, like around like the micro.
God.
We had a beefcake.
The beefcake summoning circle.
Yeah, beefcake summoning circle.
Wow. So that ended up being the inspiration for this music video, because the second single, we put a ton of time to that.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh shit, we need to get another music video together really quickly. And
yeah.
Shout out to our director, Daisy, who put it together.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Ask about my films. You should look them up. They have like some of the sickest, probably like the music video person in Philly right now.
Yeah. They just did one with Gladdy that just came out today.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, because these concepts that you had for, first of all, every song that we hear on this show has a video, and they have like this really cool retro concept, and it's really Philly. I mean, the one for Looking Back is an Ortlieb's on the Street and all that stuff, and the one for Lace Up is, I love the fact that it's on 12th Street and Reed. I'm like, oh my God, I know this corner. This is the behind the precinct, behind the Acme. Yeah. I'm like, this is my old neighborhood. This is amazing. Yeah. And DJ Robert Drake's in this. I'm like, oh my God, this is the perfect video.
So you can see in the photo montage at the end, I'm so sunburned.
Yeah, he has a nice big open concrete plane on a 90-degree day.
It gets hot over there, right? That Colombo Park, that it gets hot over there. Okay, now I want to talk about, let's just talk about It Takes Guts for a second here. I gotta know, without thinking, what's your favorite song on this record? I want to start with you, Sean. Sean, favorite song on the record, go.
Probably Looking Back.
Okay, how about you, George?
Secret of the Night, by far.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta go with, my thing is Electric Green. I love that quick hitter, but I have to say the best title has to be Shit for Brains. That is one of the best song titles I've ever seen in my life. What do you feel like was maybe the biggest challenge that you overcame when you made this record?
Wow.
Dude, honestly,
there's so many.
Or just one. It doesn't have to be the biggest one, but just maybe one challenge that you could share with us that maybe we could learn from.
For me, it's without a doubt the mixing and mastering process.
Yeah.
Like, I hate it. I think it's so hard. You don't know how many decisions to make, what decision is the right decision. It's just really challenging. And it's like, that's an art in and of itself, and I just didn't have much experience with it. So like that, like getting through that was just like, I was like, I want this to end.
Yeah, I think maybe this isn't as specific as that, but I think the biggest challenge was that we had a really tight window to do this.
Yeah.
We knew we really wanted the record to come out in 2025, and we hadn't finished writing it when 2025 started. Like a lot of the songs were written, I would say like it's 10 tracks, so like comfortably probably like
11.
6.
It goes to 11.
Yeah,
that's right. It's 11 tracks.
We definitely wrote like Creepshow and Secret of the Night.
Secret of the Night was finished in the studio.
Yeah, that one was definitely a late.
I think we demoed, recorded, mixed, mastered, did the photo shoot, artwork, booked the tour on top of that, did the music videos in like Jesus. A really
it was fucked up.
Yeah,
actually, now that I'm thinking about it, like there was a day where I was like,
that's unbelievable.
Yeah, like doing the photo shoot in between all that for the even just as small as the album cover art took like 10 man hours from myself, and
right.
I had to go to Camden to pick up a TV. It didn't fit in my car, and then we had to rent a U-Haul. It was fucked up.
Got a great picture out of it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did so much. We like to ask Born Losers because like, what's the and do we have to get you all the deliverables to get this out in the fall?
And they were like July.
They said like
July 1st.
July 1st was like everything. We're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
We
those
put it
timelines
down.
Sneak up on you, don't they?
Yeah, and we did it. And there was even a moment where they asked us to remix it after that, and I think we were like so burnt out at that point. We're just like, please God, no, do we have to do this?
Oh, yeah, wow.
We did, and we did it. We remixed the whole thing, and shout out to our producer Mark. He was like an angel through the whole process.
Wow, having a producer must be life-changing for stuff like that as well. Dude.
Yeah, Mark Water, not Waters.
Yeah, singular Water.
I always call him the Waters.
One body of water.
How did you get connected with him?
When we recorded Boy's Life and Night Sweats, we did those as 2 standalone singles. August of 2024.
Yeah,
and we did it at 2 different studios, and we just because we knew we wanted to try out like where do we want to record an album? Like let's record 2 songs at 2 different studios and see what feels better.
Nice.
Yeah, just kind of nailed it. And we recorded Night Sweats at Spice House in Fishtown, where like I think Japanese Breakfast does the data records and everything like that. And then we record, Boy's Life at Headroom with Mark. And
nice.
We just got with them when we were searching for studios, and we knew of Mark. Through other things like their partners, Liz DeLise, who we're both fans of as well of all their music, and Mark runs in like some circles that we know of. But that's how we got connected, was just recording Boy's Life, and Mark recorded Boy's Life for us.
Yeah, both recording processes were great, but I think once we recorded Mark, we were like, this is home.
Yeah, it was like no question about it.
He's so smart, dude. It's like he's forgotten more about music than I know about music. It's crazy.
Yeah, for real. Like one of the smartest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think producers are really underrated, and I think bands are just kind of like we just kind of get so in our heads and we just tunnel vision on what we have to do. And I think on that note, something I do want to highlight that you said a little bit earlier was how you communicated with Shane and how you guys were sort of delegating all of these different things, and because you guys are a 5-piece band, so there's 5 heads are greater than one, right? So I think that is in like to be able to communicate and delegate amongst your band is something that is difficult for a lot of people, honestly. And the fact that you guys have that kind of relationship going on, I feel like that's probably the only reason you could do all that you did this year, right? Like it was way too much for one person.
Sure. It definitely
Yeah.
takes all of us. Yeah.
For sure. I'd say on like the business side, Sean, myself, and Greg do a lot of like the business stuff, and um, even like that's a smaller microcosm of being in a band, and
Yeah.
it's impossible to do. I don't know how some people like run a band as one person and do all the auxiliary shit as one person. We definitely lean on each other a lot.
That's amazing. The last question I have before we start listening to our next song here is there any song, you mentioned that Secret of the Night was maybe like one of the last ones to get in there, but is there any song on this record that you're surprised at how it turned out? You know, sometimes there's those songs where we're like, I don't know if this song's gonna make it, or maybe you're playing it and you're like, is this song as good as we think it is? And then when you hear it recorded, you're like, oh, snap. Or maybe there's a song that you didn't like, and then once you recorded it, it became like your favorite song, or anything like that.
I've got a pretty immediate answer.
Yes, it.
Dude, My Kind, that song came out, like it sounded good in the room, like it was like a nice new wave pop, but when we recorded that, like, wow, that one the first time I heard that chorus, after everything was like mixed and mastered, I was like, I almost like cried. I was like, this is so amazing how this came out. And again, that's a huge shout out to Mark with so many suggestions.
Yeah, he can cook it up, man.
Yeah.
I can picture you like, wow, is this us? Did we actually do this?
No, that's a good point. I even remember when we were demoing it, like that song like never totally clicked. I probably took the longest to write. I think we wrote that for like a year. Like, I might have the same answer, to be honest, because I do remember like when we were demoing, I remember demoing it and like playing the chorus. We were looking at each other like, damn, this sounds good. Which like it didn't always sound that great at practice, and like it's not a song we play live that frequently either. So I just like didn't really know if I liked it or not. And then by the time it was done, I was like, I will literally fight anyone to be on the album, and everyone was in agreement. Like we all wanted it there.
Dude, it was so good. And then like it was also hard in the jam space to get it, understand how this meshes with our sound, because it was so different. And
it's softer.
It's really soft compared to the rest. And then like when we made it click, it just like all oars were rowing in the same direction. It felt amazing.
That's so rad. I love that when it just falls into place. You're like, all right, everything is aligned. It's perfect. And with that, let's get into our next tune here. Another single. The third track on It Takes Guts is called Looking Back. Check it out.
Feeling lonely, walking in a crowded space.
All right, that tune was called Looking Back. Awesome music video. Shout out to Ortlieb's, one of the coolest spots in Philly. Now, we talked about the album. We talked about 2025. Now, let's look into 2026 with Waxjaw. You guys went into 2025 with high expectations. You're like, we got this record, we want to put it out, we're going to tour, we're going to do music videos and release shows and all this cool stuff. Do we have the same ambitions for 2026, or is there something we're learned? What is our goal or your plan for 2026? Or is your goal to not really have a plan and just say take it month to month and see what comes up for you guys?
I'd say there's some things that I guess we can't quite say yet that are planned definitively. There's definitely yeah,
We're gonna do some fun stuff.
some fun things, some bigger things. Actually, it's probably like one of the biggest undertakings we'll ever do. But some of that's a little while away, and so in 2026 there is also a little bit of like, we did so much last year. Like, we want to make sure that we're charged up and can do like still like have as much fun as possible, and like don't want to burn ourselves out. And so like we for like this first quarter, first half of the year, I think we are kind of like, I don't know, what would you say, like playing it like a couple different opportunities.
Yeah, I would say like you asked like do we have the same level of ambitions? Like I think we have a similar amount of ambition. Like we want to do some really cool stuff and we want to keep having fun and having new experiences. And for me it's always about the live performance. Like that's my favorite part. Like I just want to play as many cool shows as I can.
Yeah.
But I think our goals are a lot less concrete, like we're not putting out another record this year unless someone gives us a ton of money for it. So we're not doing that again this year. So like, there's less like this concrete goal of like, this is something we want to do, we have to do, and it's more like, like we put this out, like let's see where it takes us.
Yeah,
keep pushing really the record.
Push the record, and we're still gonna write, and we might record. It's just there's not like this like timeline set where we're gonna hold ourselves accountable to record.
I mean, last few practices been cooking on some new stuff.
Yeah,
nice.
This boy's he's got a tasty riff.
Yeah, I got a tasty. Got a tasty riff. This guy's got some tasty riffs.
It's not really a riff. It's more just
this is vibing.
Yeah,
you're taking us on a journey.
We actually, I feel like the 3 songs we have written, new shit, are so different. So
yeah,
the direction is totally up in the air.
But basically, like my mentality is like, we got to put as much gas behind this record for at least a year, as much as possible, which is hard because a lot of these songs were written even a year before the record came. So it's hard to kind of have that relationship with songs, and I can't imagine like what bigger bands how they do it. But I don't know, playing live is just so fun that it's a new thing every time.
Right on. Yeah. Bigger bands probably have the art of disassociation and just playing every show like it's the first time they played it or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, with that note, we've set this intention. We're gonna push the record. We're gonna really try to lean into having fun live and that kind of stuff. What do you feel like is something you might want to improve on as a band this year?
It's a good question.
That is a good question.
I think our live performance, we started as like a live band, right? So like, in my opinion, like we really had a lot to learn in terms of like recording and demoing and making songs that are meant to be recorded. So like a live performance is something we always really fine tune, and I think like we can keep getting better. I think like it's easy for the live performance to get stale, and we always want to do new shit. So I think like pushing the choreography, what we're gonna say, the cues, the songs, the transitions, like I think that's something that I always want to get better at personally.
I mean, even on tour, we were like developing the live show as like like different things. And
Yeah. And then sometimes you're like, oh man, it's so great now. And it's like the last show of tour. And you're like, oh shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, the touring is just sharpening the axe, man. Right?
Yeah. So that's one thing. And then the other thing for myself, because, I feel like I have a propensity to lean to like cater towards the live performance. I do want to get better at like demoing myself. Like I think, next time we go into the studio, I think we can be even way more prepared again.
For sure.
Like write more parts, write embellishments, like have your vocal embellishments, have your guitar tones like dialed before you even demo, let alone before you even record it for real. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine's even more simple, like just giving us all enough space to do everything. Like again, going back to like that being present, do everything and like also enjoy it as much as possible.
Yeah, like don't rush as much.
Yeah, like some things are always gonna be a grind, but like, we really compacted a lot into 1 year, especially in like the first half of the year.
Yeah.
And that can be like it could be fun and exciting, but also sometimes you want to like sit with stuff a little longer, especially with songs and ideas and develop them and um and just like give us more space to like sit with recording, sit with demoing, sit with writing, sit with playing live, and like not have it all collapsing on top of each other at once.
Even just simple stuff like waiting longer to something,
Yeah.
Just improving on that process, I guess, too.
Yeah.
Improving on that, I think it's the same thing with me, where the other dudes in my band, they live in New York. So now we had to change this process of when they come down to Philly, we're jamming in the basement and then we'll make it into an iPhone, voice memo recording. And I bought a whiteboard so we can keep it written down, what the format is. And then we look at the format, we listen to it with the iPhone. And then when we feel good about it, then we start putting it into Logic, adding synth layers and playing with stuff. And then when that's good, we'll take it to the studio and record it. Developing that process has been like, it takes months sometimes to even figure all that stuff out. It took us, I think, 5 years to even get to this place where we can kind of have a flow with it. And we set the intention this year where no matter what, we're going to meet up once a month. Whether we meet up once a month and just take photos or whatever, or we're jamming on songs or whatever, it's just like, we're going to meet once a month. That's what we're going to do. So it's cool to know that you guys are also in that boat. I think every band has to be in that boat. You have to constantly, keep it fun and fresh, the creative process, because otherwise it might get stale if you just do it the same exact way for every song and album. All right. Last question I have for you guys. I know this has been a very reflective podcast. It's been a very borderline therapeutic, hopefully not in a bad way. But the last thing I want to ask you guys, we're talking about improving for 2026. I would like to know from each of you guys, what is some improvement that you can highlight about each other in 2025? George, can you highlight anything that you saw Sean improve on last year? And Sean, can you think of some cool ways that George has improved?
Oh, that's a great question.
Right? So, I mean, in the beginning of the year, you were really just kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, no!
There are many places in Philly I can never go back to.
This is where you storm off.
The fact that I'm even willing to show my face with him just shows how far he's come.
Yeah. And even then, we might have to edit it out.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this backfired.
I have some things to say about George for sure.
Oh gosh.
That's from a guitar. I actually have a list on my phone. Yeah, just from a guitar player.
Being in a band with Sean is the worst experience of my life.
Oh my gosh. We could have had a cool Kodak moment, and instead we had a band breakup. Jesus Christ.
No, I was gonna say, just from a guitar playing perspective, I've joked before that if you could combine George's right hand with my left hands, it would be like a perfect guitar player because he's so good at picking, and I suck at that, and I feel like I'm like a chord shaped guy
For sure.
and I really struggle to like pick. Dude, George's chord game has like come so far. Like it's like the chords you play, the inflections, the way you hit them, like it sounds really nice. So I feel like George, coming from like a metal background, had like like really high lead chops.
Yeah.
Now his rhythm chops are like on par with his lead chops. So I would say like that is one way George has really improved. And then the other thing I'll say is he was already good at this to start the band, but now he's like, dude, I think like you could be like a lead booker for all of Philadelphia. Like,
I'm hitting George up for shows now.
Yeah, you wouldn't be the only one.
Yeah. No, dude, I'm serious. He's gotten so good at like booking shows, managing relationships, like pretty much like just the business side of a band. Like I feel like you were born for it.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
He's the heart.
Yeah, there's so many things I could say on Sean's end. I mean, as a player, I feel like he's always had the vision, but like seeing the album come together, like it really just like wouldn't even have happened without him. He just had,
buddy.
Yeah, man. I mean, like you just had the vision for like different layers constantly in a way that was, sometimes you're working like 10-hour days in the studio and it's like you're like, all right, let's just get it recorded. And he had like the durability and like that got better over time. Like it was always good, but like to see like Sean in like full like wind and all sails, it was like insane in like the best way. It was really cool. Yeah, crazy work ethic when he's behind the board or in front of it. I don't know. Either end.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah. And on the other end, I don't know, just like as a live player, Sean got a new amp in the last year.
Yeah.
That tone has been insane. Pedalboard game is upped. Like actual charisma on stage has always been like high key, but like somehow has gotten even higher. I don't know. It's great. It's like great to try and like see if I can outdo it, but he always finds a way to do it harder than me.
We're always battling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, dude. Bless you.
I asked that question too, and to get those responses because it's something really cool for me. There's a few bands that I've been able to see, multiple times, and you guys were one of them. We played with you guys at Lurking Class way back, and then saw you guys open for Bad Nerves, and then saw you guys at the Yuki Club. So I was able to see like, wow, how the axe is getting sharpened from one stage to the next, and it's like really cool. From this band that was just like running around playing little synth noises on the you know what I mean, every once in a while someone's in a different spot. I'm like, whoa, I don't know what's happening to this band. And then there was like set things happening and I was like, oh, this band is like taking control. And being the opening band for a band like Bad Nerves, like when you're the opening band like that, you got to warm people up, everyone's going in there cold or whatever, you got to get them welcome to the space and all that stuff. It's a tough job, and then to go from that to you're the headliner, it's your album release show, everybody's there for you to see how you turn the crowd in that way. It's just like, wow, it was really cool to see that progression. And I was wondering if you guys also see the progression within yourselves. It's really cool that you guys can highlight that. So with that, I'm going to congratulate you guys on an awesome 2025. Awesome new record here, and probably my dad's favorite band. Like I said, he's downstairs listening to it. Sean and George, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. Best of luck in 2026. Can't wait to hear what's coming up on the horizon. And this last song was such a cool moment live at the Yuki Club. But this last song is one of the top ones on this record. It's called Creepshow. All right. Rip on, everybody. Stay creative and go birds.
Playing games like we know each other. It's all about the rules. Starting off this conversation, I got the right to choose. Saying names that don't go together, it's like you're lighting a match. Starting off this conversation, you think I'm quiet and catch.